8 keys to authentic living. Key number 6, the challenge of authentic living, part 2. Hello, lovelies. It's Tiina here from Own, Kind and Wonderful, helping you reclaim who you truly are. So, key number 6 for authentic living. We're continuing with challenges. These damn challenges. What's up with them? So, we are turning our eyes from outside to inside and looking at internal blockages that can be fairly difficult to overcome, let's say, when you strive for living authentically. And once we, again, I mentioned this a couple of videos ago, once we get an understanding of these challenges, we can cut ourselves some slack when we don't step up and live authentically, because these are daily decisions that we make of, okay, am I going to be authentic today in this situation and in this situation and with these people, right? So I've got a long list here because I don't want to forget any of these. So I'll be following this a little bit today. I'll allow myself that. Thank you very much. It's okay. So, acceptance. We do want to be accepted. And again, I've talked about that, this intrinsic need for connection. And we want to be accepted by other people for who we are. And of course, sometimes if we wear a mask to fit in, and then we're not accepted, we can always say, well, that wasn't really me anyway, so it doesn't matter that much. But whereas if we take off the mask and really allow ourselves to be seen, and then we're not accepted, wow, that's like a true rejection or accepted, or true rejection then of the real me, which hurts more. Probably. What do you think? Does that hurt more or less? I'm thinking more. We want to fit in, so we hustle for fitting in. Of course, fitting in is different from belonging. It's the opposite of belonging. But of course, especially when we're growing up, we really do a lot to fit in. Observing children, now that I have a child of my own, of how they kind of do it. And there's a few kids who are like, well, you know what, I'm me, and I can play on my own if, that's not a problem for me. But most of them, of course, want to be part of that group, to fit into that group. I talked about in the last video, or the one before that, about how it's about survival. Acceptance, fitting in, being part of the group is survival. Like in the olden days, if we were cast out, we were dead. So that's still very much within us, that like fear of, oh my gosh, if I'm not part of the group, what happens then? I'm cast out. Sometimes we hide who we really are in order to get what we want. Have you ever done that? Put a bit of a mask on, pretending you're someone else in order to get what you want. And that can be many different things. Like if I'm thinking about myself, have I ever put on a mask for, in the beginning of a relationship, because I think that maybe this guy wants to have a certain kind of girlfriend, and therefore I try and be someone who I'm not, which of course ends up in disaster, because the guy will know, maybe not on a conscious level, but a subconscious level, that, okay, something is a bit off. Because of course I'm pretending that I'm something else, because what is it that I want? I want to have his love and his approval. So in that case, yeah, have I hidden who I truly am in a situation like that? Yeah, done that. Doesn't end well. Wouldn't recommend it. If you're of a different opinion, please comment. I'd love to have a discussion about that. Childhood pain or trauma, of course, where we've learned that we have to hide a part of ourselves in order to again, survive or be accepted. So maybe we've been told when we're kids that something we did or the way we are is bad, should never be like that again. And we decide at that moment, oh shit, never, ever, ever gonna show that part of myself ever again, because that was dangerous. So we know sometimes it's not only that we hide that part of ourselves, we almost cut it off and we pretend that it doesn't exist, even it very much does exist and wants to be seen. Comparison. Oh, comparison. We do that a lot. We compare ourselves to others a lot. And this comparison, sometimes that becomes then a race to be the best. Or, if I'm comparing myself to another woman who's successful or something like that, well, do I then try and become more like that person in order to, feel better about myself and maybe look better to other people as well? And then something I talked about in the self-love, keys to self-love, not enough. So many of us, I guess 90% of us at least, on some level don't feel like we're good enough. Not pretty enough, not thin enough, not successful enough, not rich enough, not intelligent enough. I mean, there's so many variations of that. Simply not good enough as the person we truly are, and therefore being authentic is like not an option. I need to be someone else to be good enough. But of course, we are who we are, and hiding it is not going to help and actually leads to a lot of problems, as we've talked about in episode number 4, if you haven't watched that. And then, of course, there's fear. And I'd like you to take this moment now to really start reflecting on you, looking at yourself, because it's really about that. It's been a longer journey this time to get to the you part, because there's been so much stuff to kind of clear out first and explain first. But so for you to consider what your biggest fear out of these ones is, okay? Is it failing? Is it being rejected? Is it fear of success? Is it fear of disappointing others? Or is it fear of being judged? Which one of those resonates most with you? And if you allow yourself to examine that a little bit or explore a little bit, what is hiding underneath that? So for me, which one is it for me these days? I think rejection has been a big part of it. I've come quite a long way on that one now, but I would have said rejection before. Disappointing others would have been a big one before as well. Now it's not. There's a few people of course I don't want to disappoint. Being judged, maybe. Maybe it is still rejection. If I have to choose one of those 5 that probably still cuts deepest, it is probably still rejection, even though I've come very far with that one. Yeah, have a think about that. It'll give you some real good clues, not just in terms of if you're choosing to live authentically or not, clues to a lot of other things as well. But hopefully with these last 2 episodes, key number 5 and key number 6, you've gained some understanding of why it can be such a challenge to live authentically and why many people choose not to do it. So while it seems on the surface that it can be so scary to live authentically, at the end of the day, the payoff is so worth it. At the end of the day, if you get rejected from one group because you open up about the true you and then they don't want you to hang around anymore, that's bullshit. I mean, seriously, then you don't even want to be part of that group. And there are other groups, even though it might be lonely for a while, there are other groups to find. And there are other groups who are looking for exactly you, right? And I've talked about that, you know, in this self-discovery journey, this transformation journey, and especially in the self-love journey, which authenticity very much is a part of. It can be a lonely journey at times, but it's worth it at the end. There are other groups of people to be with who will accept you for who you are and love you for who you are. And being able to be yourself actually leads to wellness, actually leads to freedom, as I've said before. And that is so worth it. It is so worth it. Next time, what are we doing next time? Let me check my little listy list. That one's called Complete Acceptance. What can that be? You have to tune in next time to hear all about it. Do subscribe. There's a button here somewhere to do that. And do share this episode with others who may appreciate it as well. I'll see you next time. Bye now.